Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the legendary Founding Titan here, and today we're going to be going over Prophet of Regret. Sorry for replaying music, being, well, Halo Infinite's music again. It just, I don't know, Halo Infinite's music is, helps me, specifically this track, it's like a peaceful music thingy, I don't know what you want to call it, it's just all the peaceful music tracks of the Halo Infinite thing. I kind of use it a lot for my tier list, mainly because I mean, it is mainly just background noise anyway, but it helps me focus the most, I feel, so, take that with what you will. But yeah, today's gonna be Prophet's Day to maybe shine. I do think Arbiter and Prophet Regret are probably like the worst leaders in the game, honestly. But I really can't say which one's worse because they're both kind of tied, in my opinion. I feel like Prophet and Arbiter only kind of uh yeah, they're basically like they're kind of at the same level of bad, honestly, compared to the other four leaders. I don't know, but yeah, let's get right into it, shall we? I didn't really mess with the units too much. Like I just kind of drag them back down here. They're just kind of all over the place. I don't even know what the heck's going on. I didn't like organize them too well. I'll put these guys together because that's what I always do. I will spread out some of these UNSC and Covenant guys though, like real quick, just so we're not spending so much time just talking about them. I guess. You know. I mean, obviously we're gonna talk about each and every one of them, but it's like I kind of like having UNSC and Covenant not so. I just don't like having UNSC and four Covenant units side by side. It's just kind of you know. Anyway, personal preference. But anyway, let's talk about. I messed up last time with the Arbiter. I will not mess up this time. We're gonna start out with the leaders as we have been doing. It's just last time with Arbiter, I just kind of messed up on that. I kind of forgot. So there we go. So first up, we have Anders. Um, I feel like me personally, when I play Prophet, I feel like if there is any Covenant leader that spells out full Air Force to me, it's definitely Prophet. I don't know why. I mean, of course, I'll change up my strat from time to time, especially if I like faced these players before. Like, I'll definitely change up my strat because they'll be like, "Huh, he's gotta build this," so I gotta change it up on them, sort of deal. You know, back in the old days, I mean. But yeah. But for the most part, I would if I was play Prophet, I would always build Air. It's just to me, it just kind of makes the most sense. Because especially if there's another Covenant leader, you really want to rule the skies because if the other players rule the skies, your Prophet really is useless. Like, let's be real here. I mean, the moment, especially if it's like a Covenant guy that rules the skies on the enemy team, yeah, you really need to be able to have air control with the Prophet. I feel to really utilize this kit a lot more effectively. I feel. Um, but for Anders' case, uh, I'm gonna say Anders is he's definitely not strong against an Anders. And that's kind of my point when I was making earlier that he does want to make air, and she is exceptionally well against air. Um, because of the cryo bomb and everything else. But Covenant, of course, have the vamps, which are, of course, as I've been saying, the best anti-air in the game. I definitely think she's not strong against him or weak against him. It's kind of just a struggle. More up. I'd say it's like in between these two, but I'll just leave her at the high end of struggles against. I don't think she's kryptonite to Prophet, but um, definitely is not a fun time for Prophet. I would say. Up next, we have Captain Cutter. Now, I'd say Captain Cutter. It's kind of funny because, like, of course, I done the other leaders as well, right? Like, I done Captain Cutter, and I probably placed Prophet in a different tier than what I'm gonna place Cutter here. I don't know, but uh, honestly, if I remember correctly, I put when I was rating Captain Cutter versus Prophet, I think was like Prophet was in the weak against tier. I think. Um, I don't know. So my answer may be different from the two videos. I have no idea. But I would say Captain Cutter is definitely more of a weakness against Prophet, mainly because of the ODSTs. Uh I feel like if there's any leader that Prophet's gonna really struggle against, it's gonna be a Captain Cutter. There is certainly strategies that Prophet can use against Cutter that would make this like more like struggles against. Specifically, if you were to rush him, because Cutter I do believe does have some of the worst early game, but so does Prophet. Prophet's early game is also pretty rough, apart from the honor guards versus other Covenant leaders. I don't know why the honor guards just seem to do a lot to Covenant leaders early game. It's kind of weird. I don't know why that is. It just seems like that's honor guards' specialty is to kill early game leaders. But yeah, I'm just gonna place Cutter there. I think just because of his ODST's backblast, same dealio. It's just pretty effective against Prophet. Uh, Sergeant Forge, I say strong against. Um, I'm pretty sure when I was rating Forge, I'm pretty sure Forge. I also said that uh, Prophet is his kryptonite, honestly, and it's mainly because, like I said, when I'm playing Prophet, I typically build air, and Forge just has the least amount of powers, and like his unit being the Grizzly and the Cyclops, does this neither one of them do anything against air, and his carpet bomb also just hits ground. He just has the least answers to air, and UNSC already. I wouldn't say they like hyper struggle against air because Wolverines are really good at their job, but they're just not as good as Vamps. And I just think Forge because of that, because it's unlikely you're just building only Wolverines, right? So unless you have like a shit ton of Wolverines, I just don't see it really. I don't see you really doing too well against a Prophet as Forge, honestly. Chieftain, uh, I'll say struggles. Mainly, uh, it's mainly the fact that you know, um, his early game is super strong. Brute Chieftain's really tanky. His brutes are really like high damaging, and they can do pretty well against air. I'll just leave him there. I'm just gonna leave Chieftain in struggles against. I don't think he's weak or strong against him. I think it's more of a struggle, like mid tier struggle, really. Arbiter, I'd say he's strong against. Really, I think Arbiter is his abilities and stuff just don't really. He just can't really reach Prophet, and you can always do that stupid glitch on Arbiter that can instantly kill him. Getting near a cliff and he jumps and he just dies or teleports across the map. Prophet could easily abuse that. And the funny thing is, Arbiter doesn't even do that much damage to Prophet even when he does successfully hit. unless his shield is down. But other than that, no. Arbiter doesn't really do too well, and I'd say Banshees even have a better chance of glitching Arbiter out since they could just boost across the map super quick. Um, and I feel like air. I just feel like Prophet. You're wanting to build more air than anything, just because if you don't have control of the air, and there's an enemy Covenant player, well, that enemy Covenant player could always just use Vamps against you, and then you just can't make any use of your Prophet. And your Prophet, your leader is the best thing about him because he does so much damage. If you can't utilize that damage, your kit's kind of utterly useless. So, and vampires make that utterly useless. So you really want to have air control as Prophet, I feel. And yeah, I just feel like Arbiter would suffer the most against Prophet. I feel like honestly, he's probably stronger against Arbiter than Forge. Even I think Arbiter is probably the worst leader against Prophet. I'd say. Um, Up so for units now, we have the Hawk, the UNSC Hawk from Professor Anders. Uh, I won't say he's strong against. I'll say he's more of a struggle. I think it's more of on the low end of struggles against though. Like once we get more units up here, I feel like it'd be more on to the right. But I just feel like because of amps and you know Prophet's huge beam, if there isn't vampires helping Anders' Hawks out, to deal with that Prophet, that beam is really hurting those Hawks. And the vampires are already so strong. Not to mention, since Covenant, the population for Covenant is 10 more, so there's even more Vamps and Hawks. That's the thing, too. Their upgrades are cheaper, meaning that more than likely there's going to be more vampires up before Hawks because, I mean, Hornets is so bad you really don't want to build them until you actually do have Hawks unlocked. I feel like you wanted to build other units until then. Because Hawks are just so. Or Hornets are just so bad, you just don't really want to ever use them. Uh. Warthogs. I'll say weak. I'll say weak because, like I said, I do feel like Prophet and Cutter have probably the two worst, early games, and Warthog rushes are just so brutal. Especially the Prophet's leader. Prophet's leader really just gets shredded by Warthog. Just nuts. Like, a couple Warthogs ram his shield down, and then they just fucking gun him down like nothing. It's sad. Like, he really can't do anything against a Warthog rush. His power, his, beam can't catch up to the Warthogs because they're too fast. It doesn't do enough damage to, kill them effectively. And his basic attacks also are just slow moving projectiles until he gets those fuel rod cannons. So, yeah, his leader really doesn't do that much. The first thing you're gonna have to build against a Warthog rush is hunters, and they are far too expensive early game. So, yeah, Warthog rushes are absolutely brutal against Prophet, and thus I think Warthogs do go in weak against. Vampires, I feel like. I mean, obviously they are. No, they are weak. Actually, I'd go as far as say they are the top priority. If you don't have air control, this is your biggest weakness for sure. Just because one single vampire can literally stun your ass, and you're just locked. Prophet can't do a single fucking thing besides sit there and pray to himself, I guess, to hope the fucking ring nukes the fucking vamp or something. I don't know. Yeah, he's completely hopeless. It's kind of sad. Like, he's just sitting there like, please don't kill me. Oh, you gotta literally either call him back to your base just for him to more than likely get stunned again, or, I don't know. Vamps are definitely number one priority. You want to have air control as Prophet. It's as simple as that. Boats. Brutes with the boot shots, booty shits. Um, I say he's strong against mainly because Prophet's mostly in the air. They're not really gonna do too much against him. I don't really think they're gonna be much of an issue. Plus, Prophet's like once he's in the air flying, he could probably like two tap them. Honestly, they're not that tanky. They're more just damaging, and they're damaging the ground vehicles, not air vehicles. And Prophet, I just don't think you're building much of the ground vehicles. You might build infantry, yeah, but majority of your shit's probably gonna be in the air, I would imagine. Hornets, strong, like super strong guns. Like this might as well not even exist. It's just much worse than the Hawk. Absolutely just garbage ass unit. Vamp says absolutely annihilate them, and Prophet on top of that just makes it hopeless to even build. Chopper, strong against Chopper, just absolutely does nothing. It just rams into a fucking thing, and sits there, tanks for a stupid amount of time for whatever reason, early game that is, and just dies because it has no gun in the early game. Marines, strong against. I even put the elite grunts, the flamers up there as well. All three of those deserve to go up there because they're not doing anything. They're not. Prophet will literally just nuke them. I mean, even if he is building infantry, jackals will kill them instantly. Elite honor guards will do a pretty good job against them. Maybe not flamethrowers, but you know they will kill marines. They will kill the grunt squads. Um, yeah, definitely not something you wanted to build for those three. I feel like Prophet just has no problem at all to kill those three. Scarab and Engineer, might as well pair them up together as I always do because they're the Q and U. They have to be together. I'd say struggles against. I definitely, as Covenant leaders go, I don't think anyone in the Covenant is truly safe from a Scarab and Engineer combo, just because they don't have as much bursty damage. Covenant is more about consistent DPS, whereas Unicy is more about heavy burst damage. I mean, when you really think about it, that's what it is. Because, I mean, look at all the units down there for a Unicy. The Cobra is a bursting damager. A fucking Gremlin is a burst. The Grizzly, the Scorpion is a burst. The Vulture's a burst. The Wolverine's a burst. You know what I mean? Like, Unicy are hard-hitting bursters, which is why it's harder to heal. Because they can quickly take out HP within like an instant just by pressing a Y ability. But that's also why Anders is so strong because she's the one. She has the Hawks, which is the one thing that actually does rapid DPS. You know, other than that and ODSTs, of course. But you know, it's a 4-star air unit that does high DPS, and that's why Anders is so good. It's because most of the, you know, UNSC shit is heavy bursting attacks, but not her. Most of her shit is massive DPS and burst at the same time. That's why she is the glass cannon, as I call her. So yeah, like facing just flat DPS is way easier for healers to keep up with, like engineers. Facing just DPS is way easier than heavy burst. Especially since, you know, they don't have like Spartans or nothing. So it makes it even easier on top of that. For engineers to heal scarabs, which is why I feel engineers and scarabs together are much more of a threat against a Covenant team than a UNSC team. A UNSC team just kind of laughs at it at times, just because you know Captain Cutter and Anders can just nuke those engineers. Yeah, Prophet, like any Covenant leader, like I said, it's just their DPS is just it's a lot easier for healers to face against, and that's why it goes and struggles against. It's not up here quite so, but like, because they do have high DPS. Like if you have wraiths, hunters, prophet's beam, it's a lot. It can be overwhelming if you don't have a massive amount of engineers, But yeah, for the most part though, they're doing pretty well against those two. They're not doing too bad. I mean, not doing too bad. Elefante, strong against it. There's not really any tactical advantage you could really get with that elephant against a prophet. I mean, considering he can literally fly over your tower defenses like nothing, so what's the point? Hunters, strong against basically because you're not really building. I just don't think you're building infantry and tanks. That's how I see it. Like as prophet, I'm always building air, and a lot of people build air. Like anytime I see a prophet player, they're either spamming banshees or they're spamming vamps with hunters. Like that's all I ever see of prophet players. So, um, yeah, I'll just leave it there. Cobras, just the anti-vehicle guys aren't gonna do much against a prophet that's building like that. So fuck it, I'll just put it there. Banshee, uh, I say struggle against mainly because like Prophet's beam really can't keep up with those banshees because they're just so fast. They will do a lot of damage if they do get hit by it though, and but he still has the vamps, so they're still because of the vamps alone, they're still on the lower end of struggles against. I would say. Spartans. Uh hmm. Where do I put Spartans for this one? Well, Spartans are typically one to put themselves in tanks, but even Scorpion's machine gun turret can shred banshees like nothing. I'd go as far to say probably the lower end of weak against. I think Spartans are they're really really good against Prophet. Because Prophet can't stand the ground. Like once PT turret tanks are up, there's no chance that he's gonna stay on the ground because he's just gonna die instantly if he does. And even in the air, if they put fucking Spartans in either Hawks or Wolverines, he's getting his ass peeled open and he might just die instantly to like some Wolverines. Like Wolverines will really fuck him up bad, even if he's veteran. So I'm gonna place him in the lower end a week against. It just depends. But even Spartans and tanks are pretty lethal, even to an air force of banshees. Wolverine struggles against definitely just. I mean, it's the UNSC anti-air unit. I'd say it's on the higher end of struggles against because it is something that they're gonna build against Prophet and his air force. So yeah, definitely on the higher end of struggles against. Um, Sui grunts just nothing to really do for them. Prophet's gonna easily be able to beam them before they get to the base. It's just no point. Vulture, I'm not even gonna talk about it. Jackal, uh, actually, you know what? I don't give Vulture enough hatred. Absolute fucking butt ass, potato ass, fucking piece of shit ass unit. I fucking hate this thing. This thing fucking sucks. Never fucking build it. It shouldn't even be in the damn game. It fucking sucks dick. That's all it's good for. Sucking dick and balls. That's all it's good for. If you want to lose the game, build these. There you go. Alright, moving on. Jackal. Strong against. Just not really. I mean, you're not really gonna build them against the Prophet, I feel. I mean, I know. I'm fully aware that they can hit them in the air still. But I don't know. Prophet's beam will just instantly shred them. Like, not even, like, fully charge his beam, and they'll literally die within a second from his beam. So, definitely not want to do that. And if you're having a problem with Prophet, you're not going for these. You're going for the obvious answer, which is Vamps. So, yeah, no point in building those. Grizzly. Um, hmm. Uh, I don't know. Actually, I think I'm actually gonna put it in weak against. You can say what you want about the cancer shell. It is true, but the machine gun turret doesn't change on the Grizzly. If anything, it's actually better. I think it is actually better than the Scorpions, as it does have an extra shield level over the Scorpion. The Scorpion is just better with its main cannon with high burst damage, and its canister is, of course, way more damaging as you are well aware. But the Grizzly's minigun, machine gun, whatever you want to call it, is definitely going to be doing a little bit more to Banshees, and the huge amount of the bigger HP pool definitely makes it more threatening than the Scorpion, I would say. I do think it is on the lower end of weak against though, but we'll see. Scorpion, I think because he's in the air, Prophet's in the air most of the time, I actually do think it goes beneath the Grizzly in this case. Um, I think it's on the higher end of struggles against, mainly because they are still very strong. Maybe not as strong as a Wolverine, but we'll see. I'll organize this later. But yeah, the Scorpion is definitely not a easy opponent. Even you know, it's still gonna be a pain in the ass. It still does a lot of damage. You get the whole gist. Scorpions are just that jack of all trades. They're just so good in every situation, even against air, which is so weird. But yeah, they're just really fucking nuts. ODST, drop it in your dick hole, boy. Um, I'd say, yeah, weak against. Probably, honestly, I probably in like more in the middle of weak against. They can just be dropped everywhere on the map. They're with a rock paper scissors cycle, you know they do extra damage to vehicles with their RPGs. Pretty much two of them get to kill a banshee. I mean, it's fucking nuts. They do a lot of damage. They're tanky as hell for an infantry unit. They can lock down different areas on the map. Yeah, they're pretty rough. And it's just the fact they can drop anywhere. You can't really surprise a cutter with when he has ODSTs online, because he can just drop 10 ODSTs behind his base, even if you try to go for his reactors, and they will still, even 10 ODSTs will shred through at least a few Banshees. And if he backs you as well, you're in for a rough treat, let me tell you. Wraith, strong against. I just don't think there's any point to build him, especially against Wraith's. Wraith's minigun is really rough. Like, they ain't doing a lot. Definitely not as good as Scorpions or Grizzlies to Prophet or Air in general. The squad with the Brute in it, probably like strong against, just, not do a whole lot. I don't think you really build these guys like hardly ever. Unless you're comboing them early game with Brutes just so you can, throw more HP numbers out there, I guess. And because, the regular Brutes do take a while to build, so you might just want to have these guys as, like, reinforcements until you build more of those other Brutes, but I don't know. Uh, typically, I'm just gonna leave them here. Cyclops, uh, I mean, it's just a healer. I'm just gonna put it there. It definitely can help those Grizzlies out, but it's not like that unit specifically is a problem. Ghost, uh, yeah, just fucking doo doo. Butt cheeks, boy, butt cheeks. That's all I gotta say about it. Gremlin, I mean, same difference. It's just you're not really on the ground. I feel. I mean, the most you're building is maybe Locust to spawn behind an enemy base. That's the most you're building. But other than that, I don't know. I don't think you're really pumping vehicles out, are you, as Prophet? I really don't know. I wouldn't. but maybe the meta has changed since I've played Prophet in PvP. But from what I remember, I always built Air because it just makes the most sense with this kit and his leader. Locust. Locust. I'd say strong against because he's got banshees. You know, Prophet's also able to just teleport anywhere on the map as well as long as there's a base nearby. And you know he can just beam those locusts, and you know it doesn't take a whole lot of time to kill locusts. And I mean, even without his beam, he can pretty much two tap them with his chair. So they're definitely on the fucking low end of strong against. Like they're fucking. He's really strong against those locusts. All right, so from left to right, we're gonna do struggles against and weak against. So struggles against, left side is strongest, right side is weakest. So I think the biggest problem, in struggle against is definitely Anders. I think she, with her abilities to be able to cryo bomb, the ability to be able to wipe out an entire air force is very devastating. Um, which is why she goes there with her powers. The next unit that goes up is probably, I would say, the Wolverine. I think the Wolverine is a bigger threat than Cheaton's power. It's a bigger threat than Cheaton himself because Cheaton is just super tanky. While he is good against ground, and you know he of course can build vamps as well, and he is still an issue in early game. For the majority of it, though, I feel like Chieftain is just a little bit weaker on the struggle against and like the anti-air counterparts. You know what I mean? I think Scorpion's a bigger problem than Chieftain as well. Just because the anti-air gun on that fucking Scorpion is kind of nuts. Um, I think Hawks and Banshees are more of a priority than Chieftain. Um, I think Cheetah definitely is actually at the back of struggles against. I think while I don't think he is super bad against Prophet, it's just compared to all this, he's just weaker than all of them. To Prophet's Air Force, I feel. And but it's mainly the early game. The early game really gives him an edge over Prophet, I feel. Because once he until Prophet gets to tier 3, Chieftain is kind of just bullying him around. Like, he's a fucking bully until Cheetah get or Prophet gets in the air. Um, but yeah, so Hawk goes there, Banshee goes there, and then of course a Scarab, I'd say, an Engineer goes there. I feel like it's not impossible to deal with, especially if it's only, if it hasn't ranked up yet. But it will become a problem if it's like, obviously it gets levels. So the weakest thing by far is like it's not even close. The vampire. The vampire just completely shuts down your leader, which is it's just bad. You definitely want to have these guys taken out as fast as possible. Um, yeah, that's all I really gotta say about it. They just gotta go. They gotta go, Bubba. They gotta go. Um, and then I think the next biggest problem would be the uh I'd honestly say warthogs are the second biggest problem. I think prophets are just very vulnerable in the early game. There's just not a whole lot of there's not a lot of answers for warthogs in the early game for Covenant. Well, specifically if you're a prophet. Prophet just has a lot less HP than Chieftain, has a lot less berserker ferocity than Arbiter. It's just he doesn't can't really fight warthogs until he gets like tier 2 prophet, and even the units he could build, it's just I don't know what you're really building to really counter warthogs besides maybe hunters, which are expensive as fuck. Because even if one hunter kills two warthogs, well, if they kill the hunter before he kills a third, you still lost resources in exchange for that. So I don't know. It's kind of tough to fight warthogs with Prophet. I feel in the early game, it's just he really needs a little bit of help to gain power. I feel in the early game. Cutter would definitely be the third biggest issue because, of course, his power is involving the ODST and the Mac Blast. Um, they're just so he's just able to drop everywhere. You can't really surprise his reactors. Try to get it to jump on his reactors and try to blow them up. It's just not the best of times when a cutter drops 10 ODSTs on your ass at all times, drops 4 max, and yeah, like typically just has 40 pop on the field at all times when he's, got 2 or 3 bases, which typically he will get them pretty quick. Get those bases pretty quick. I'd say Grizzlies probably the next biggest issue, and then Spartans. Um, I think Grizzly just because they have the bonus health and the extra damage to air. I think air specifically just gets even more punished than normal because of that. And Spartans are behind it as well. They kind of just pilot the Grizzly and shit. But yeah, that's all I really gotta say about it. So there you have it. There is the profit tier list. I feel like this one actually was a lot faster than normal, but I think it's just because I kind of have narrowed all these units down so much, like because this is my fifth time talking about all these units, and I'm just able to quickly go through it now, at least a lot quicker than normal. I feel, because typically my video like these tier lists are like 40 to 50 minutes long. This is like 36, so yeah, I just feel like that's probably where everything goes. If you're building air as not cutter profit, I just to me it doesn't make much sense to build vehicles apart from like certain situations, and it doesn't make much sense to build. It doesn't even make much sense to build infantry most of the time unless you're like trying to counter an army of tanks. Um, I mean, it does also depend on what your allies are doing. Like if you have an Anders on your team, you're not gonna want to also build air. But I mean, maybe you would want to build air. I don't know. It really depends. I don't know. I haven't seen PvP in a while, so I don't know exactly what people are doing these days. Especially since the game is practically dead at this point. Uh, so I don't know. But I feel like as profit, the kit that makes the most sense to build is like building like 4 engineers. Then the rest of your army is just like, you have like half your army is banshees and the other half is vamps. That just realistically sounds the most like realistic to me. I guess I don't know. I mean, maybe you'd rather just want to build vamps and hunters. Maybe that would make more sense. I don't know. I kind of just prefer building banshees against tanks, to be honest. It's just I don't know. I guess because banshees are just cheaper than hunters, and they can like pretty much instantly kill a tank, and you don't gotta worry about not being able to keep up with them like hunters. Like hunters are just so slow to tanks. Like it's just a bitch and a half to keep up with them. I don't know. I feel like I just prefer banshees though. Although I will say the one thing you can do to avoid that is like get your profit to get in front of the tanks and then start pouring hunters in to block the tanks, with hunters in front and have the hunters chase them in the back, and you just like kind of just block them in that way. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to do that, especially since like Wolverines are really tough and would shred Prophet's butt cheeks open pretty quick. Because Prophet ain't really that tanky. He's a glass cannon, if you will. He is the highest damager in terms of just raw high DPS. He is the highest damager in that regard. Um, I mean, even a scare will hurt pretty bad after like 10 seconds of that beam hitting it. It's not gonna feel good. But there you have it, though. I think that's gonna wrap this all up now. Um, if you guys enjoyed this one, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be seeing you for the final one. I know. You guys are probably thinking, yeah, of course he saved Brute Cheetah for last. You're damn right I did. He's my fucking favorite. I'm gonna say the best for last, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you what though, there's gonna be a lot of things he's strong against. Like all this, I'm gonna show you what Cheaton's all about. You know, Cheaton is my man. He is the king of Halo Wars. No, I'm kidding. I wish he was. I wish I could say that with confidence, but no. We know who the king is. It's fucking Captain Cutter. But we'll see how well Cheaton stands up to everyone else. Alright, guys, that's all I got for today. This is the Legendary Founding Titan signing off. Peace.